Hi, I'm Rick Neufeld.
And I'm Lori Neufeld.
We started a business that we did not want to be in. Then we ended up making a product we didn't want to make. I said, Lord, I'll do anything but this. And this is what He led us to do.
I knew this was going to be tough. I ended up having to get a job outside the home to put groceries on the table.
But God has continued to provide, and through this business, He has given us the privilege of helping people.
Sprinkler Lube 1200 is a product we've formulated to help you cut your downtime, repair bills, and gearbox replacements by up to 75%. Some farmers have even exceeded that goal, and the same results can be yours with Sprinkler Lube 1200. The seals have been removed on these two gearboxes so they will leak. Now, if you're adding oil, draining water, or draining a mixture of oil and water out of your gearboxes each season, you have leaky gearboxes. Notice how much normal gear oil has leaked over the same amount of time compared to Sprinkler Lube 1200. These cutaway gearboxes have the lubricant level extremely low for demonstration purposes. The worm gear bearings with the normal gear oil have no lubrication reaching them, while Sprinkler Lube 1200 is covering the worm gear and going completely through to the worm gear bearings, providing protection against wear. When these gearboxes set idle during the off-season, the worm gear and bearings that are not protected by Sprinkler Lube 1200 will rust, cutting their life expectancy. Sprinkler Lube 1200 gives you the protection you need for the results you want.
My name is Chris Roth. I'm the president of Ranky Manufacturing Company. Our mission statement is to exceed our customers' expectations of quality, service, and innovation. And we believe that Sprinkler Lube fits that bill very well because it exceeds the farmer's expectations of what a gear lube lubricant would do for them.
You have to be somewhat skeptic at first because it's such a different thing.
We were really impressed with the properties of the lube itself because it would get real loose right around the gear itself, but on the outside near the seals it was thick.
We asked farmers who are using Sprinkler Lube 1200 to describe past gearbox failures and the pain it causes.
You know, it seems like quite often they break down right at quitting time or something, right in the evening, or a holiday or something when you plan on taking the day off. And you end up working that day or working until 10 o'clock getting it back to going, you know. It happens, not all the time, but quite often.
It'd be muddy, water that deep, foot deep, and you'd have to carry it in there, carry a jack, and then it'd take two guys. And then you gotta carry boards to
They're
jack.
very heavy.
Yeah, a couple 100 pounds. And then you have to jack it up. And it's 100 degrees, humid. It's a pain. It's a pain.
Oh, a 3/4 inch breaker bar, wrenches, hammers, blocks, jacks, everything heavy.
Well, it's challenging. I mean, the bolts are always rusted and it's always muddy and slippery, and when you get it on your hand, you can't hang on to nothing. And I don't know what the gearboxes weigh, 100 and something pounds, and trying to get a bolt lined up from one side and hanging on a gearbox on the other side, it can be frustrating.
It feels like 130 degrees in there. You can't hardly breathe. There's so much humidity. It's tough going in there, especially if it's like the middle of a sprinkler. You got to walk in there and carry in that gearbox.
We tried it with a horse, we've tried it with four-wheelers, we've tried it with everything, but two guys just get a hold and take all. That seems to be the best way.
We built these displays to illustrate the problems that you're facing with gearboxes and how those problems begin. We took the seals out of this gearbox because we know that some guys have leaky gearboxes. And if you're one of those some guys, you know that that's a real problem and a pain. And the leaky gearboxes are actually the start of your problems with gearboxes. If you have oil leaking out, you also have water leaking in. Normally, the problem with these gearboxes starts with water leaking in.
The problem with the gears is they all have about 3 seals in them. And you're working in muddy operations, sunny operations, and it's a constant expansion and contraction, and sometimes you get water in the boxes and sometimes you just lose the oil.
I have this worm gear to illustrate the problem that you face after a period of time. As you can see, we have wear grooves in the different areas where the seals have been put on this shaft. On both ends you can see that where we have wear here and here, and people have put different seals in. If I take a brand new seal and I put it on this shaft, you can notice how here at the end of the shaft it's tight enough to seal. But if I move it to where the seals have to run, it has a gap. Now it may only be a 1/16 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch, but with a normal gear oil, it's going to leak out similar to what you're seeing in this gearbox where we have no seals.
Well, they'd had enough use that they wore a ring groove on the seal groove on the shaft, and then they started leaking water in. And
on this south pivot here, I had 2 gearboxes on the same tower 1 year go out because they were full of water. Couldn't believe it. There wasn't a drop of oil in them. They were just full of water. The oil must have leaked out of a seal, and then eventually they fill up.
Sometimes you can find printed a half a cup of water, and some not quite so much, and maybe some even could even be a little more.
oh, I was buying these rolls of seals. We need more seals. We need more seals.
Well, we'd lose the oil out of the gearboxes because of the seals, but that's what was wrong. The seals were out, and it would let the oil out, and it ruined the gearboxes.
The costs for the seals to fix this, the cost of the repairs to the shaft that need to be made to fix this, and the time it takes to do that are considerably more than the cost of Sprinkler Lube to put in this gearbox. Here we have a piece of plexiglass covering the end of the gearbox like on the other one with no seals. One of the things Sprinkler Lube does is that it will actually take and come out and start to form a seal all the way around this shaft. As it does that, it creates a barrier so that water can't get in. In the field, dirt and water would mix with this over a period of time and seal this gearbox off so that it wouldn't leak.
It not only kept the oil from leaking out, but it kept the water from coming in, kind of formed a seal. Because we had a lot of problems with seals on the older gear.
Every gearbox would have water in it. And now there's probably 5. We probably had 5 out of 240 that had water in them.
We made Sprinkler Lube thixotropic. Many have asked us, what does thixotropy mean? Thixotropy is the ability of a lubricant to thin down with movement and then thicken back up when it sets again. So most lubricants thin down by temperature. Sprinkler Lube is designed to thin down by movement.
We hadn't heard anything like that before. What we like to see is where it's thick around the bearings, the input bearings of the gear, but then around that worm gear and bull gear to keep that very loose, you know, and where it's doing a good job lubricating.
To illustrate that, we again put the lubricant level too low in this gearbox, the same as the one you saw with the normal gear oil. Notice how Sprinkler Lube is coating the entire worm gear, but also you'll notice that it's running down off of this gear. Viscosity is a measurement of flow. And if you notice that the viscosity of this is thin enough that it's flowing, when it has set, it will thicken back up into a grease state and coat these parts. The adhesive cohesive package that Sprinkler Lube has helps it if the oil level is too low, to come up here and cling to these parts. When you shut your system off at the end of the season, if your seals are bad, or even if your output seal is bad, the lubricant level is going to drop to at least here, or maybe even lower to where we have it in this box for illustration purposes. What happens to all the metal that is above the lubricant level? With a normal gear oil, it will rust. But Sprinkler Lube, as you can see, is coating all the parts above where the oil level would be. And you'll notice that it has come clear through the bearings as well.
It's pretty neat how it would just crawl up the worm gear and just stick and just crawl up on everything and then stay there, basically.
Sprinkler Lube is definitely a superior product just for its clumping effect.
It's very good stuff.
Sprinkler Lube 1200 can be purchased in 3 different container sizes. It's packaged in 400-pound drums, 120-pound kegs, and 35-pound pails. As you consider how many gearboxes you need to protect this year, keep in mind that most gearboxes hold about 7 to 8 pounds. This should help you in deciding which package size best fits your needs.
For most quarter-mile pivots, the cost difference between Sprinkler Lube 1200 and normal gear oil is less than the cost of replacing one gearbox and the other costs that would be included with that. Ask your dealer to show you the cost comparison between normal gear oil and Sprinkler Lube 1200. You will be astonished at the cost savings of using Sprinkler Lube 1200. It will give you a return on your investment with the protection you need for the results you want.
Boy, I'm a farmer. I think everything's too high. But it provides a lot of value. I think it's a good product, and I highly recommend it.
Sure, more expensive than regular gear lube, but I think it's worth it. You know, sure, don't have to replace any gearboxes.
The up front, you got to spend some money, but what you save in the long run, it pays back probably 100 times the cost of what you would spend.
Well, I think what you have to look at on a product like this is you have to look at the overall long-term cost of ownership, not the upfront cost. The upfront cost may be a little higher, but over an extended period of time, it's a lower cost because you're not out there having to replace a gear maybe as often, or whatever the situation may be. But over the long term, it's a lower cost of ownership.
Well, I mean, I guess if you would figure back to the acre, I mean, it's really not going to figure out very much, especially when it's going to be very minimal. And the cost of the oil is a whole lot cheaper than the cost of having a $220 gearbox failure and the downtime with that system. So with the Sprinkler Lube, it's very minimal.
It could be like a 200 to 1, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. You go counting crop loss and everything.
Until you put it in practice, I mean, you don't really see the value. I mean, I could see all that oil just staying there, and that ain't what sold me. I mean, doing one sprinkler and doing our worst sprinkler and not having a gearbox to change, I mean, my irrigator loves me for that. I mean, efficiency is the name of the game, and if you ain't efficient in what you do, I mean, you can put that thin oil in and replace 2 gearboxes. That'd be the cost of the oil difference. I don't even know what it is. It ain't much. But I mean, 1 gearbox and you paid for the lube. I mean, that's simple math.
Yeah. It pretty well sold me. I told them just do all mine.
Do as many as you can afford the first time.
When you take care of your pennies, for example, $50 worth of this in your gearbox will keep me out of your field. When I come out to change one of your gearboxes, I've carried enough by hand. I'm going to chop 2 rows of your corn out with my pickup. So by the time I leave, that's going to be $600. If it had this product in it, you probably wouldn't have had to call me to change that gearbox. So inherently, when you put $50 worth of this in, you're taking care of your pennies. So your dollars are taking care of themselves. Your gearbox is going to last. It's like I said earlier, this is the closest thing to a miracle we've got.
I would say give it a try because you'll be a believer.
It's exciting to hear customers tell us how much Sprinkler Lube has helped them.
Now we are truly thankful to God for this business, for this product, and the many people that we've had the privilege of helping.
And we want to thank you for purchasing Sprinkler Lube.
And we truly are thankful for your business. Thank you.
It is.
Yeah.
It's very good stuff. Oh, I'd make the change in a heartbeat. Oh, I like it. I really like it.
It just provides them a solution.